Good morning, Virgos. The tide pool does not card the hermit crab before allowing it to take up residence. The water simply is. The temperature simply fits. The calcium shell finds, against all geological probability, a hollow in the rock that matches the exact architecture of its need. No one asks the crab its age. No one asks the rock how long it has been waiting. The arrangement is ancient and immediate, governed by a physics older than judgment, older than the ledger keeping of calendars, older than the human terror of counting rings. You are the rock, they are the crab, and the hollow they have found in you is the exact shape of a loneliness they have been carrying since before they knew your name. Let that sit for a moment. Let it dissolve. The first layer of resistance, the one that arrives wearing the sensible shoes of but the age gap and but what would people say and but I am too old to be looked at like that. Those are not your thoughts. Those are hand-me-downs. Inherited anxieties from a culture that believes love should be a spreadsheet where the birth years line up like obedient soldiers and the life stages march in lockstep toward a shared grave. The culture is wrong. The culture has always been wrong about the things that matter most, and the tide pool is here to prove it. They are younger, not by a little, by enough that your mind has already run the calculations, filed the objections, built the case for why this is impractical, inappropriate, impossible. You have rehearsed the speech in the mirror. You have listed the reasons like a grocery list of responsible adulthood, different references, different energies, different timelines, different risks. You have told yourself that you are the mature one, the grounded one, the one who knows better, and that knowing better means shutting this down before it begins. You have been noble. You have been sensible. You have been absolutely catastrophically wrong about what is actually happening because they do not see the age gap, not because they are naive, not because they are rebelling, not because they have some fetish for experience that they will outgrow once they collect their own. They do not see the age gap because they are not looking at your age. They are looking at your frequency, and your frequency is the only one in the room that does not make their teeth hurt. Let me explain what that means, because you are going to try to translate it into something you can manage, and it is not manageable. It is elemental. They have been swimming in waters that were too loud for them, too fast, too full of noise that masqueraded as intimacy. People their own age, or near enough, speaking a dialect of connection that sounded like static to their soul. The performative courtship, the strategic vulnerability, the careful calibration of how much to reveal and how much to conceal, the endless chess game of modern relating where no one puts down their armor because everyone is afraid of being the first to disarm. They tried it. They learned the rules. They played the game with a competence that looked from the outside like social success, but inside they were drowning. Inside, they were going to parties and standing by the window, wondering why everyone else seemed to understand the music when all they heard was percussion without melody. Inside, they were having conversations that lasted hours and left them hungrier than when they started. And then they met you, or they saw you, or they heard your voice in a room where everyone else was shouting, or they watched you handle a crisis with a calm so profound it looked like time-lapse photography, the rest of the world blurring into motion while you remained perfectly, devastatingly still. The specific circumstance does not matter. What matters is the moment of recognition. The moment when their internal tuning fork, which had been vibrating at a frequency no one else could hear, suddenly found its match in the resonance of your presence. And in that moment, the age gap did not shrink. It simply ceased to exist. It became irrelevant the way the weather on Mars is irrelevant to a conversation in a cafe. It became a fact without force, a number without narrative. They want you, not as an experiment, not as a phase, not as a stepping stone to someone more appropriate. They want you with a ferocity that has already alarmed them, that has already kept them awake, rewriting messages they will never send, that has already caused them to take the long way to their destination just to pass your street, your building, the gravitational field of your daily routine. They want you the way a plant wants light after being kept in a closet, not with strategy, with biology. With a need so cellular, it bypasses their rational mind entirely and speaks directly to their spine, their stomach, the palms of their hands that sweat now when they hear your name spoken by someone else. And they are getting bolder. The age gap, which you assumed would be a wall, has become a runway. They are using the distance in years as proof of their own seriousness. They know you think they are too young to know what they want. So they are demonstrating knowing. They are showing up with an intentionality that makes their peers look like children blowing dandelion. They are studying you, not in a creepy way, in a devotional way. They are learning your coffee order, your preferred side of the bed, the exact brand of pen you use, not because they think these details will unlock you, but because they understand that loving you is a craft. And they are willing to apprentice themselves to its mastery with a discipline that shatters every stereotype about their generation. Watch them. Watch the way they look at you when they think you are not paying attention. It is not the look of a child looking at an adult. It is not the look of a student looking at a teacher. It is the look of a cartographer who has finally found the coastline they were born to map. It is ancient. It is focused. It is the look of someone who recognizes that you are not older than them in the way that matters. You are older like a mountain is older than a river. The river does not want the mountain to be younger. The river wants the mountain to be exactly as old as it is because the mountain's age is what creates the pressure, the gravity, the rootedness that allows the river to flow without becoming a flood. They need your age. They need your weight. They need the density of your experience because without it, they become destructive. They become speed without direction. They become noise without form. And you need their speed, you need their noise, you need the way they look at the world with eyes that have not yet learned to categorize every possibility as a risk. You need the way they touch you with hands that have not yet been trained out of spontaneity by a string of disappointments. You need the way they say yes before they have finished calculating the cost, because their yes reminds your body that it is still alive, still capable of being surprised, still capable of wanting something without first writing a liability waiver. This is the alchemy that the age gap creates. It is not a deficit to be managed. It is a bridge between two territories that need each other. The territory of your depth, your patience, your refusal to perform urgency for its own sake, and the territory of their hunger, their boldness, their willingness to burn for something before the world teaches them that fire is dangerous. Together, you are not a cliche. You are an ecosystem. You are a forest where the old trees and the new growth create a canopy that supports more life than either could sustain alone. But you are afraid. Of course, you are afraid. You are Virgo, and your mind is a defense attorney who has never met a positive development it could not cross examine. You are already preparing the case against this. You are already gathering evidence. The raised eyebrows of friends, the subtle comments from family, the articles you have read about power dynamics and life stages, and the statistical probability of success. You are building a fortress of reason around your heart because your heart, left to its own devices, has already started leaning toward them, and that leaning feels like a loss of control. That leaning feels like gravity operating on a plane you did not authorize. So let me address the fear directly, because it is the only real obstacle here. Not their age, not your age, not the gap, the fear. You are afraid that you are a phase, that you are a curiosity, that once they have collected the experience of you, once they have tasted the depth you offer and filed it under lessons learned, they will move on to someone their own age, someone fresher, someone less complicated, and you will be left holding the weight of a love that was real for you but experimental for them. This fear is not irrational. It is the fear of anyone who has ever been chosen for their rarity and then discarded once the collector realizes that rarity requires maintenance. But here is what you are missing. They are not collecting you. They are not sampling you. They are recognizing you. And recognition is not a phase. Recognition is a permanent restructuring of the visual field. Once a person has seen a color that does not exist in the standard spectrum, they cannot go back to believing the spectrum is complete. You are that color, and they have seen you. You are afraid that you will look foolish, that you will become a punchline, that people will whisper about the older person who should have known better, who let themselves be pursued by someone younger, who failed to maintain the dignity of their position. But dignity, Virgo, is not the same as distance. Dignity is not the same as refusing to be wanted, because the wanting does not arrive in the expected packaging. True dignity is the courage to be chosen by someone whose choice defies convention, and to stand in that choice without apology. True dignity is looking the world in the eye and saying, I know what this looks like, but I also know what it feels like, and I trust my own experience more than I trust your assumptions. You are afraid that the power dynamic is inherently unequal, that your age gives you an advantage that makes their consent suspect, that they cannot fully know their own mind because they have not lived enough years to understand the weight of what they are offering. But power is not always a function of age. Sometimes power is a function of clarity. And the clarity they possess, the clarity that allows them to see through the noise of their peers and identify you as the only viable destination for their devotion, is a form of power that you do not have. You are fogged by your own history. You are clouded by your own scars. You are carrying the weight of relationships that taught you to doubt your own desirability, to hide your own hunger, to pretend that your needs are manageable and your passions are moderate. They see through that fog. They see you, and their seeing is a power that equalizes whatever advantage you think your age gives you. You are afraid that the sex will expose the gap, that your body will betray you, that their body will intimidate you, that the mirror will become a courtroom where you are tried for every year and every line and every softening that time has administered without your consent. But their desire for you is not contingent on your body matching the body of someone their age. Their desire is for the specific architecture of you, the way your skin carries memory, the way your hands know things that younger hands have not yet learned, the way your breath changes when you are truly present, truly seen, truly released from the performance of youth that you never agreed to give. They do not want you despite your age. They want you through your age. They want the history written on your body. They want the map of your experience. They want to touch the places where life has shaped you and feel the texture of a story that has actual chapters, not just an introduction. And the sex, when it happens, because it will happen, because they are already moving toward it with the patience of someone who knows that the wait is part of the worship, will not be a comparison. It will be a translation. They will translate their hunger into your language. You will translate your depth into theirs. The gap will become the space where the translation happens, and in that space, something new will be created, something that belongs to neither generation but to both, something that is older than both of you and younger than both of you simultaneously. The body does not count years when it is truly met. The body counts recognition, and their body recognizes yours the way a lost frequency recognizes its home station after years of static. They are not going to stop. This is the part you need to hear with both ears open. They are not going to outgrow this. They are not going to wake up one morning and realize they were confused. They are not going to meet someone their own age and suddenly understand that what they felt for you was just a misplaced crush. The opposite is happening. The more time passes, the more certain they become. The more you pull back, the more they advance. The more you list the reasons why this cannot work, the more they find solutions. They are solving for you. They are doing the math that proves the gap is bridgeable. They are building the bridge with their own hands, plank by plank, while you stand on the other side holding a stop sign that is getting harder and harder to keep upright in the wind of their determination. And the wind is not naive. The wind has done its research. The wind knows your objections and has prepared a counter-argument for each one. Different life stages, they will adjust. Different friend groups, they will merge them. Different timelines for the future, they will wait, they will accelerate, they will match whatever pace you set, not because they are shapeless, but because their shape is yours. They have already decided that their future is not a separate document from yours. They are trying to file them together. You need to decide what you are going to do with this information. Not eventually, not after you have consulted your friends and your horoscope and your 5-year plan. Now, because the bridge is almost complete, because they are about to set foot on your side of the river. And when they arrive, you are going to have to choose between the life you have been managing and the life you have been avoiding. The life you have been managing is safe. It is predictable. It is a well-organized room where everything is in its place and nothing surprises you. It is a life where your age is a credential, your experience is a shield, and your solitude is a choice rather than a wound. You have made it comfortable. You have made it respectable. You have made it a fortress against the chaos of wanting and being wanted. The life you have been avoiding is this. It is the life where someone looks at you like you are the only light source in a city that has gone dark. It is the life where your age is not a liability, but a lighthouse. It is the life where you are pursued not for what you can provide, but for what you already are, and the pursuit does not stop when you are difficult or distant or determined to be sensible. It is the life where the tide pool opens for you, where the hollow in the rock fits your exact shape, where the hermit crab finds a home that was carved by time and patience and the slow, patient pressure of being exactly who you are. That life is here. It is knocking. It is younger than you expected and bolder than you are comfortable with and more certain than you have any right to expect from someone who has not yet lived through all the seasons you have survived. But it is here, and it is not going away. So what do? You stop apologizing for being wanted. You stop explaining why this is complicated. You stop performing the role of the responsible elder who knows better, and you start being the person who is brave enough to be chosen. You meet them at the end of the bridge, not with a contract, not with a list of conditions, not with a calendar of milestones that must be met to justify the risk. You meet them with your hands open. You meet them with the same terrifying precision you bring to everything else, but this time applied to love, applied to pleasure, applied to the radical, defiant act of saying, yes, I want this too, and I am done pretending otherwise. You teach them, not from a pedestal, not from a distance, but from the bed, from the kitchen, from the car at 2 a.m. when you are both too tired to perform and the conversation becomes the real one, the one where you tell them the truth about your fears and they tell you the truth about their determination. And both truths meet in the middle, like rivers that were always meant to converge. You teach them what it means to be known by someone who has actually lived long enough to know the difference between a performance and a person. You teach them what it means to be touched by hands that do not rush, that do not grasp, that do not treat the body like a deadline to be met. You teach them what it means to be loved by a Virgo, which is to be loved with an attention so thorough it feels like architecture, like a house built around their specific shape, with walls that hold and windows that let in exactly the right amount of light. And they teach you that your age is not a countdown to invisibility. They teach you that your body is not a museum of former vitality, but a live instrument that can still be played, still be tuned, still surprise you with the notes it can hit when the right musician is holding it. They teach you that urgency is not always a mistake, that spontaneity is not always chaos, that saying yes before you have finished the risk assessment is sometimes the only way to access the joy that your caution has been keeping in escrow. They teach you that you are not too old to be wanted. You are not too old to be pursued. You are not too old to be looked at with hunger that is not ironic, not nostalgic, not predatory, but simply devastatingly real. The age gap will not stop them. It was never going to stop them. The only thing that can stop them is you, your fear, your refusal, your performance of responsibility over truth. And if you choose that, if you choose to keep the bridge raised, to keep the fortress locked, to keep the tide pool empty, because you are afraid of what it means to be inhabited, you will survive. You will be safe. You will be right by every conventional measure. But you will be alone, and the hollow in your rock will remain unfilled. And the hermit crab, after waiting longer than any reasonable creature should wait, will eventually turn and carry its shell back to the sea, looking for a home that is brave enough to keep it. Do not let that happen. The bridge is built, the water is calm, the age gap is just a number, and numbers do not govern the laws of recognition. You have been recognized. You have been chosen. You have been wanted by someone whose want is so pure, so specific, so utterly unswayed by the opinions of people who have never felt what they feel that it qualifies as a form of worship. Step onto the bridge. Take their hand. Let them lead you to the center where the wind is strongest and the view is best, and the gap between your years becomes the space where the future is built. Let them love you. Let them teach you that time is not a wall. Let them show you that the best things in your life have always arrived precisely when you stopped counting the days and started trusting the tide. The tide is here. The shell fits. The water is perfect. Move.